All in favor of opening the meeting of the Conservation Commission on Wednesday, December 13th, 2023, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so this evening, we may be going a little slow because our agent is not present. She is on a well-deserved vacation, so I've got to make some notes here as we go and figure out what we're doing item by item, so bear with us, please. Okay, so we have 5 here tonight, no members remote, and Tom and Rich York are not here tonight. So there'll be 5 of us, which is a quorum, so we can proceed. Okay, so we have 4 public hearings tonight. The first is a continuation of a notice of intent for 912 Salem Street. And this is for construction of a 22,000 square foot contractor's yard warehouse building and associated drainage structures within jurisdictional area. So we have heard quite a bit about this project. We have visited the site and got a good idea of where it's going, asked a lot of questions. And so I believe that pretty much all we need to hear about is some of the stormwater changes and maybe a couple other things. Commissioners, we have in our packet a draft order of conditions, so we'll talk about that. I have a couple of changes that I want to make to it. We actually may be able to close this evening and sign off on the draft. Representing the applicant is April Ferraro of R.J. O'Connor.
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone.
Can I interrupt for just a sec? Point of
Yeah.
order, is Fred allowed to vote on this? Because of other hearings? I just want, I mean, we got enough to vote and everything,
Yes.
and we got a quorum. I just want to make sure that we don't have a vote that's not.
True. Since he hasn't participated in any of the previous stuff, we'll ask him to just abstain on the vote if we take a vote.
Okay. No offense, Fred.
Yeah, go ahead, April.
Sure thing. So the last time we were here with you guys, we discussed adding a driveway loop around the back of the building. And at that time, the loop was nicking inside the 100-foot buffer. So we were talking about, can we do it paved? Can we do it unpaved? How are we going to do it? And since then, we have gone ahead and added the loop in, as you'll see on the revised plans. And maintenance-wise, it did make the most sense to go with a paved driveway. So we have instead shrunk the building again. So it's now 18,800 square feet, and we've got the loop driveway going behind it, and it is outside the 100-foot buffer. And like the rest of the parking area, it's going to have a curb on it, and the stormwater from that will be directed into the catch basins and the treatment units, and then go into the infiltration system on site. We've also, I think, addressed all of the outstanding comments from TEC, from their letter, from our conversations. The biggest ones being access lanes to the infiltration systems, and keeping the drain pipe out from underneath walls. They're going to go around them instead. We had some additional details to the, additional information to the drainage details that they had asked for. And so we're just, as you sort of mentioned, Mr. Chairman, we are just sort of awaiting a clean final letter from Tech. But overall, we do believe that the design you have in front of you addresses the outstanding concerns that the town had and that Tech had. And by all means, if the commission is comfortable and would consider closing the public hearing and voting, obviously conditionally based on the letter, that would be fantastic. But also, if there's any other questions or comments, I'm happy to do what I can to answer those.
Questions?
Well, shrinking the building did what I suggested, so I have no complaints. I'm sorry it had to get smaller, and the unpaved road would have been a reasonable solution as well, so.
Yeah, I think it's.
But maintenance-wise, you're right, it's,
Yeah,
if you want to,
I think it'll just make everything easier in the long run, so.
Yes, well, I like the fact that we don't have to waive our permit, our bylaw for that, because
Yep.
it's kind of a stretch.
I have no problem with the conditional,
For the TEC letter.
yeah,
Yeah,
conditional.
yeah. So, everybody looked at
When
the
is that
plans?
I'm honestly not sure. We had reached out to Annie earlier in the week, and obviously she's on vacation, so I'm not entirely sure when they're planning
So
on
that's
getting the
going to
letter back.
her, and not you?
Correct, it goes through Annie.
Do we get, do we have access to her emails? No.
I don't, yeah, and unfortunately, I don't know if they've had conversation about a timeline. All that stuff flows through her.
Stormwater's under planning, so,
Yeah, yeah. No, I think our biggest concern was the road there, so. Yeah, yeah. I think we can make, they're not planning on doing anything for a while, right? You just want to stop coming to visit our lovely town.
I do enjoy the drive here, but
And you get paid and everything.
you can,
so-
I'm sure you're a little tired of me standing up here.
Not at
so.
all, not at all. But, yeah, so they're not planning on doing anything till springtime anyway, right?
To my knowledge, no.
Yeah.
We have planning board next week.
Okay, all right. So I think we
ZBA
get
just
enough of a
approved last
buffer.
week, so I don't think they're planning on any construction over the winter, to my knowledge.
so do we have any other questions on what's before us here then? I don't think so. So, would the commissioners like to take a vote to close the hearing and actually sign the draft order? Or do we want to wait till we see that letter, or we can vote and not sign it until we see the letter?
I like that last plan.
Okay.
And that doesn't change anything for you. You don't need to.
No, when Annie comes back next week, then she can change the
Yep,
thing, because she still had in there the draft, so she can do the final changes and then pursue us for signatures. But I would just ask that we have to be aware we're gonna have, depending upon what we approve tonight, we're gonna have a few things to sign, so when I think Annie's back next Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday, so probably before Christmas, she'll have it ready for us to sign. All right, so somebody want to make a motion then?
else's turn?
Plan.
My plan? Move to conditionally accept the plan as submitted with the potential for changes based on communication from, what is it, tech?
TEC, yeah.
TEC?
Yep, for the notice of intent for 912 Salem Street, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Okay, so everybody understand what we're voting on? We're basically approving the notice of intent and issuing the orders of condition once we get the final letter from TEC. We're not expecting any changes based on what TEC says, so,
I'm sorry, everything's been handled with the turtles. As far as the turtle.
yeah, there's I think there's a letter in their packet
Yeah,
from
yeah,
Natural Heritage, what they have to say about it.
okay.
So I think we're all set with that. And I think the applicant has done a very good job of accommodating both the wetlands, our bylaw, and also the habitat issues. So I think they've done a good job, and I'm happy that we've been able to work things out. All
The
right,
commission really appreciates being listened to and revisions made on recommendations. We're always open to discussion, but it really helps to come back on with a revision when one's been requested. Makes a big difference.
Yeah.
An amicable resolution.
Yeah, no, understood, absolutely.
So keep it up.
all right. All in favor of the motion to approve the project, say aye.
Aye.
Abstain, 1. Okay,
All right,
passes.
there you go.
Great, thank you guys very much, I appreciate it.
Safe trip home.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming out.
I'm sure we'll see you again.
Hopefully.
All right. The next hearing is for a request for determination of applicability for the construction of a cement pad for a diesel generator at 4 Federal Way. And I believe someone from Hancock Engineering is representing the applicant.
For the record, John Riley, Hancock Associates, on behalf of MTC Mechanical. As you mentioned, we're here regarding an RDA for our project at 4 Federal Way. I was going to give you a brief description of the project and the permitting history we've gone through to this point, if that works for everyone. So the project is essentially replacing an existing on-site generator with 2 diesel generators housed on concrete pads. The proposed generators are double-walled steel with an alarm system. This is detailed a little further in a spill prevention control and countermeasures plan that was a part of our submission. As part of this, we will also be expanding the fenced area behind the existing building and installing an infiltration trench. A portion of the work is within the 100-foot buffer for a wetland to our properties east along the eastern property line. Our permitting so far, we've been to planning board for a special permit under the Aquifer Protection District. We received that permit approval with conditions. The biggest part of that was taking the concrete pads and ensuring that they could provide total containment in themselves for the total volume of each of the generators. So we have the double-walled steel housing and total containment from the concrete pads. And also as part of that permitting, we moved the generator locations from the side yard close to where the existing generator is to the rear of the building, because we were told we would have needed a variance to stay in the side yard because they're considered structures. I think that's broad strokes just about it, so I'm happy to answer any questions if anyone has anything.
So how close is this going to be to the wetlands?
The edge of the trench that's closest to the wetland line is a little over 75 feet.
Yep. Next door.
I think that's when we saw that the.
Yeah, this is that existing Comcast building, but the first lot there on the left is vacant.
Oh, right, okay. But this is already within, and the variance that you would have had to get is because you're too close to the other property line?
Correct. So by the definition, the building inspector said that the generators would count as a structure and therefore have to meet the side yard setback requirements. So we moved them to the rear of the building to avoid that.
So, this is still a problem because, once again, we have an industrial or commercial item being put 75 feet away where the bylaw says that can't be done.
Are you talking about the trench?
Well, the pad,
Yeah, the pad itself.
The pad looks like it's more than 75 feet, right?
Yeah, but
The pad is
commercial-
further than 75 feet, but there is a 100-foot buffer line there.
The commercial's 200, isn't it?
I don't think so.
Marked.
I think so.
This is the pad here?
100 is.
The thing that looks like a little stone wall there is a trench, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that is, the purpose of that is to collect stormwater,
Correct. It collects stormwater and provides recharge.
but there shouldn't be any, like petroleum pollutants or anything in it.
Correct.
So that part is the only part that, and I'm not even sure, I can't tell exactly, but it looks like that is just outside of the 75-foot, right?
There's no 75 marker, though.
There's no 75-foot marker, but I'm looking at the distance between the 50 and the 75. I'm going halfway between the 75 and the 100.
Uh-huh.
And,
But the bylaw says what?
I think it's 200
Sure.
for commercial.
the bylaw says no work within 100 feet.
okay. So it's not, 75 is irrelevant.
Yeah.
in this
Right.
case.
Right.
All
If
right,
it was residential, it'd be a different story.
got it.
Yeah.
And these have to be kept separated by a certain amount?
The generators?
Yeah.
It's just two separate generators, so they're on
But I mean,
separate
could they be-
concrete pads.
Could they be put closer to each other to get outside of the 100-foot?
He sent,
I think they need a certain distance between them for
That's what I was asking.
maneuverability, but I'm not sure exactly what that figure is. I don't know if that, pushing them together gets us outside the 100, but it's something we could look at.
I think we're going to have to issue a positive determination on an RDA because I don't think we can answer this question under an RDA. But I'll let everybody else weigh in.
No, we're going to come to that conclusion, I'm pretty sure.
yeah.
Which means, they'd have to file a notice of intent. And
Yes.
I can't, I mean, I don't know what the solution is as far as our bylaw is concerned. This is a little trickier than the previous one, you know what I mean?
Right.
So, but, like I say, I don't think we're really charged with doing that under an RDA.
Yeah, it sounded like we're kicking it back for either a redesign or a notice of intent.
Well, they gotta come up with a notice of intent, because, right, unless you say.
Well, if they can redesign it
Right,
and
if they could
resubmit.
get it out of the 100-foot.
Yeah, exactly. Which is gonna be cheaper for them.
Right,
Yeah, I guess, what's the process for variance, if you could,
Well,
I mean, it's a
The
variance
process is
versus
we have-
us, and
yeah. Yeah, the
would
process
say-
is we haven't been doing it, so,
right.
yeah.
I mean, that's significant wetlands, so.
Yeah.
where's the, this is the side yard setback, okay.
If I recall, that drops off right down into,
I mean, just based on this.
What is the height of the containment walls themselves on the pad?
The dimensions should be on a plan provided by Arcadis that's in the submission package. I don't know that figure off the top of my head.
And what's to prevent them from, what's to prevent it from going around on this side? I mean, it's nice to have them next to each other and
Mhm.
stuff, but, you know, is there anything here?
The preference was the current configuration just based on accessing them, but
Preference, that's the word I'm looking for. Okay,
that's
no,
not a conversation I was a part of, so I don't
Got
have a
it.
definitive answer for
got
you.
it. So, it sounds like positive determination, resubmit if you can get it out of the 100, or NOI.
Right.
Now, is that, to be clear, get the generator and the concrete pad, or all of the work? The infiltration trench, the fence?
Yeah, it would have to be everything out of the 100-foot. All right, I'll make a motion that we issue a positive determination on this request for determination of applicability, that it is positive, and the project will have to be redesigned or a notice of intent filed.
Second. Oh, Fred beat me. Fresh legs.
I'm into the diesel.
he's been waiting.
Yep.
Interior retaining wall.
I don't even see the specs on that.
The specs for,
The height of the wall.
Any,
While he's talking about.
any other questions on the motion? All right. All in favor of the motion to issue a positive determination, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 5-0 passes.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
See you again.
Have a good night.
Two.
Okay.
Safe drive.
Next, we have Groveland RDA for removing dead trees along the Merrimack River at 6 Merrimack River Road. And I think Steve Collins is here to tell us about it.
Yes, he is.
Good evening.
Hi, Steve.
Hi. So, as we talked the last time when I was here for number 8, naturally, number 6 came over. And he's in the same situation, less trees this time, same location though, down on the slope. So I looked at it, the yards are adjoining. We can use that same access point from number 8 to get the stuff out, and I think we can do it in a reasonable time frame. I just told him that he'd have to check with you guys. I wasn't sure if you gave us approval to do it like you did next door, if he'd have to apply for his own permit for the $200 fee for the thing or not. So I just wanted to run that by you guys and see what's going on. I think it was, at his, it was less amount of trees. I think it was only 4. But again, dead ash trees, same species, same situation.
Well, it doesn't really matter how many there are, right?
Yeah,
And, I mean, I guess if there were 100 and it was gonna take 2 weeks, it would be different, but
Yeah,
for 410, that's almost the same number.
yeah, yeah.
And did he apply?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we approved it.
Okay.
And we issued, you know, he's got a seasonal waiver, I believe, for 1 day's work. So,
You doing it in a
Talked about
day?
planting native
Yep, I
trees.
think I can do it within that same day.
Shrubs.
That one's a little easier,
Yes, they're smaller, yeah, and I think I
further
can.
away.
Yeah, yep.
so, the only question then is, do the commissioners want to fold these two together and have it all the work done on 1 day? There's no need for another seasonal waiver.
They split the seasonal
Yeah,
waivers?
Yeah,
now?
they can
They'll
split
have
it.
to come to
Oh,
a,
right.
that's an interesting
they
deal.
come to an agreement themselves and.
Yeah, as far as I know, they're very friendly, and I know that the first one that I had came here for, number 8, I won't be able to do that all in 1 day, you know, so that's gonna be a multi-day job, but I think that,
You'll
That
have
will
like
coexist.
2.5 days, and then you can get his
yeah,
done in half a
exactly,
day.
so I'll have, you know,
So-
say a day and a half or 2 days on this property, and then the other day we'll take with
So your
that.
plan is just to stay in the area until it's done?
Until it's done, yeah,
And then you come to us and you tell us how many days.
yeah,
And
The
then we could,
commission is a kind commission sometimes.
and
I
then
don't-
we could issue the same list of native trees and shrubs
Yes.
that they could replace.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. so, yeah. I
No,
mean-
it seems very reasonable.
I just figured if we're already in there, we're already working, I mean, you could almost throw a baseball to where the other ones are. I think it
Okay.
makes the most sense to do it
And they're
right.
the same right on the riverbank issue?
Yes, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, they're down at the bottom. He has a ton of big ones, but they're further up, you know what I mean? Yeah, that area is loaded with dead ash trees.
They're all dead.
Oh, yeah, yeah, if they're not dead now, they will be.
My
They will.
backyard is loaded with dead ash.
Yeah, it's a shame. And even the treatments, everything they're doing, it's not, you know, guaranteed.
Dutch elm treatments didn't work so well
Yeah,
either.
I mean, some do well and some don't,
Yep,
you know?
yep. It's gonna be genetic engineering. It's the
So-
only way out of this one.
Well, they picked the good man for the job.
All right, move to approve this piggyback request
With the same order of conditions. as
under the same order of conditions,
And request for native
request for native
tree and
species
shrub
replacement.
Yes. Second.
Is that something you'd like me to take care of, the native species, the,
Plant them?
yeah.
You like planting stuff?
Well, I've planted my fair share of stuff.
Well, there
yeah.
you go.
Yeah, is that
Um,
something that they can take care of, or is it something you want me to take care of, or? Doesn't matter, as long as
It's
it
up to
gets
them
done.
if they-
Yeah,
if
yeah,
they're
I
paying
mean-
you to put the stuff in, they're gonna buy it or go through you to buy it or
Yeah,
whatever they wanna do, I think is.
yeah. I mean, it'd be nice if you did it. We
Yeah, well, I'm
trust
just,
you.
you know, so I'm gonna cut the trees, right? And then I'm gonna drive away. I'm not going back. I don't wanna be held responsible if there isn't things
Oh,
planted.
no, 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 we're not, no, you're
Oh,
not,
okay.
no,
All right.
Nope, nope, this is the homeowners.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Alright.
And just to, sorry, you leave the stumps there, right? You don't
Yep, I
pull
just
the-
cut them as
You're not
flush as
grinding or-
possible. Yeah, no.
Who made that motion and who
Harry,
seconded
and I
it?
seconded,
Could watch the video.
because that's fun.
Okay, so we're issuing a negative determination and allowing the trees to all be cut as one project with 8 Merrimack River Road and 6 Merrimack River Road, and
People just tell us the total
Yes,
total
and
number of days.
report back on the seasonal restriction waiver for the applicants to provide us with that fee. All right, that makes sense.
Yeah. Awesome.
All right, we'll take a vote then. All in favor of the negative determination for 6 Merrimack River Road, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, 5-0 passes.
Thank you, happy holidays.
Go home and see your kid.
I'm gonna. Hopefully I get to put him to bed, so.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, and tell Merrimack 6 and 8 we like river birch.
All right, the next hearing is for 27 Wood Street, and this is a request for a seasonal restriction waiver and a culvert modification. This is for a project, notice of intent, project that we issued about 3 months ago.
Hello,
Welcome
Yes.
back.
thank you. I guess with what Mr. Dempsey just read, I'd like to kind of just cover the culvert change request first, and I don't believe we're going to need that. I worked through some details with Shea Concrete, and they're going to provide a culvert with the same opening size as the one that they had promised me before. So I think we're okay with that.
Tell us if that's not the case.
Absolutely.
All right.
And just to be clear, I wanted to make sure that what's detailed on the plan is a 2-foot vertical opening and a 3-foot wide horizontal opening. So generally speaking, as long as it complies with those dimensions, you guys are satisfied. Is that,
Are you telling us or asking
I'm
us?
asking you. Like, they were proposing things that were taller, but narrower. And I
Nope.
said, I want to maintain the same width.
Right,
If you can maintain both dimensions perfectly, that would be
Right.
ideal.
right.
So taller created some other issues, but
need to write something.
wide, we can maintain. So
Right,
I think I'm okay.
yeah. Taller's gonna squeeze everything in and.
Yeah, I didn't want to go narrower,
Gonna change the,
and I can't go taller because
gonna
of,
change the flow
ground
rate and
cover,
everything,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
Right. all right. So I'll maintain the same width, I'll maintain the same vertical clear opening, and I think we're okay.
Very good.
Reading your regulations, I am familiar with the seasonal work restriction. A lot of the contractors I had talked to kind of believed that in agreement with 30-2, Section 1, Section D, with the first part of it, work within the resource area shall be performed within low flow months of the year whenever practical.
Oh,
They
what's
wanted
a
to-
low flow month this year?
I know, not last week.
No.
They were pushing me towards this time being the ideal time to do this.
They being,
Site
the
contractors,
contractors.
yeah, that,
okay,
for a variety of reasons. When I went over the request with Michael Seecamp, he also pretty much agreed that now would be a good time to perform this work for a variety of reasons, mostly related to the dormant vegetation, the lack of animal activity, the lack of not inbreeding seasons for different animal species that are in the area. Contractors took the perspective mostly that the site is much more clear and visible now, so they can actually see exactly what they're doing, which is pretty practically
helpful.
convenient.
now your discussion with Seacamp, was that before or after the 3 inches of rain we got?
That was before.
Okay, just checking,
Yeah.
just checking.
And I do appreciate that I was here in August. And at the time in August, I was under the impression that this work would be able to be completed prior to November 1st. There were a couple of hiccups that pushed us out,
And here we are.
and here we are. One of the hiccups was, believe it or not, mailing of the order of conditions from Groveland to Georgetown took 27 days. Took 27 days.
I could have walked it.
I could have come over and picked it up. Annie was very kind to email me a copy of it, but I can't record a copy.
Right.
I took it to an attorney's office who could record electronically, thinking that that wouldn't be an issue, but they wouldn't record a copy. So I was a little bit stuck with that bit of the timeline.
Bummer.
That pushed me out of a window to get erosion control installed. And the biggest calamity was that Shea Concrete had an issue with the form that they were going to use to cast the culvert. And now we're in the middle of December, and they're telling me that
That was the post office. Somehow it got lost somewhere.
I actually never even signed for it. I was in contact with Annie like 2-3 times a week saying, when
Wow.
did you mail it? Where is it? And tracking data online couldn't tell me where it was.
Wow.
It took me 3 weeks to get, 21 days to get a contract for my jobs from Canton, so.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on.
I mean, it was frustrating, but it wasn't the only problem that drove me to where I am now. So I guess I am here to ask if you guys would allow me to proceed with installing this culvert and these retaining walls, what would probably be in the first 2 weeks of January.
I guess it would have to be weather permitting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think fundamentally a lot of those reasons cited are reasonable reasons to do it.
But here's the question I have is, if now is the greatest time to do this kind of stuff, right? Why isn't our seasonal restriction go from April to November instead of November to April, right? Obviously, whoever came up with it for the bylaw didn't agree with these statements as far as being the ideal time to do this kind of work, or we wouldn't even have a seasonal restriction. There's definite reasons why the seasonal restriction is in place, and probably, like anything else, there are contradictory beliefs on either side. So I'm not 100% sure that those are good reasons why we should grant the waiver. But it's unfortunate what happened with the post office, and so, I might be willing to think about it because of that.
Well, and also, I mean, just look at, I said earlier, weather permitting, and there would have been so many times during the allowable construction season that it would have been a nightmare to do something like that. And I think if we are able to have a say in when, a go-ahead time, when we feel that things have stabilized enough and there's not, torrential rains forecast for until it can get established and not solidified. What's the word I'm looking for?
Stabilized?
Stabilized. Thank you. Same word, different word. Stabilized. Then I think it's in our interest to have a hand in that. Now, I don't know how that's going to fit in with your construction guys, whether they're going to want to come hell or high water.
He says the rest of it is gonna be, right? Didn't I read the rest of everything's gonna be later? It's just the culvert
Well,
and
we're
the-
talking about the culvert, and the thing is, if they've got a 2-day, or however long it's gonna, how long is it gonna take to install that culvert?
So it was going to be the culvert and the associated retaining walls.
Yeah.
And the retaining walls are made out of precast concrete blocks. So in an ideal world, we're not disturbing anything outside of that beyond a foot or two
Okay,
to install crushed stone, compact it. And then once we get up above the ground, we're operating between these two walls and building
Right.
them up as we go.
right. So time-wise,
Time-wise, to your point, weather dependent, I was asked to ask for basically a 2-week period. And in those 2 weeks.
Okay, so a window, is a 2-week window, but then the construction itself would take,
We would be laying probably a base layer for the culvert on day 1, and then filling the interior of the culvert with baffles and riprap or stone between the baffles, and then capping them probably on day 2, and then each wall was going to take about probably 2 days, so
so 5,
about
6
6 days
days.
worth of.
6 days.
Yeah, so what we could do is grant it up to 2-week window and then have Jay have to communicate with Annie about the best time to do it.
Well, and we also have to have a, like an emergency cancellation, like if it's gonna rain, if it ends up torrential rains, I mean,
Yeah.
it shouldn't.
Yeah.
It shouldn't, but, shouldn't the last 2 years hasn't applied in either extreme.
Right.
We can't count on drought, we can't count on torrential rain. And it would be, I would hate to say the first week is terrible, and so they got to start in week 2, and week 2 is terrible also, so it turns into a nightmare. There'd have to be some sort of cancellation clause, what do they call it? Act of God, not act of God, act of God? Act of God?
Sounds
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that, and say, guys just can't do it.
Right. So, I mean, the timeline I was looking at was I needed like a solid, clear 3-day period to do most of the groundwork.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're building up above that. We're basically stacking concrete on top of concrete. So if I could find a 3-day
And
window.
that's less
to-
disruptive.
do
You're not
that.
gonna have a lot of erosion.
Yeah.
Once you've got the
Yeah.
culvert in place.
I mean,
and you're-
basically what we're building is I forget how, 18-foot wide, 60-foot long infiltration trench with a box culvert in the middle. So as far as erosion controls, is kind of concerned, we're pretty much channeling anything into this,
Culvert.
into this driveway. It won't discharge into the culvert, it would just seep through the gravel into the exposed gravel underneath that between the 2 retaining walls.
And do they have you said there was a tentative period when they wanted to, I mean, they haven't even made this thing yet, right?
Right,
Okay.
right.
So we're talking couple months off,
At this point,
6 weeks?
if I
If you pulled the trigger,
tell them to cast it,
yep.
and the decision was basically, well, let's wait a few days to get through this before I tell them to cast
Right,
anything.
right.
If I tell them to cast it, they should have it ready in, I think, 6 working days for them,
Oh, 6 days.
which would be,
So it
it's-
cures that quickly, huh?
Oh,
well, it's the
that's
same
very
cast. They have to make 6 pieces with the same cast, and they say they need a day per piece. But then they got to load it up, deliver it. So I would anticipate 2 weeks, which puts us right between
Christmas.
Christmas and
Yeah.
New Year's. So I was planning
Probably
on
not then, so. first
couple
week
of weeks in January. Yeah.
Okay. And by then, so you could have them, I mean, we can't predict what's gonna happen.
No.
4 weeks from now.
Yeah.
We
And if,
can't predict what's gonna happen
if we were to
Sunday.
get 2 feet of snow on the ground,
Right,
then I think these things are going to sit in their yard until June.
yeah,
I don't
well,
know.
probably not, but
Yeah,
April
hopefully not.
15th.
April 16th, maybe.
16th, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so I'll make a motion
I'm inclined, yeah.
that we issue a seasonal waiver for installation of the aforementioned,
Associated block retaining walls.
yes, for a 2-week window between January 1st and March 1st to do the work upon weather-related approval by our agent.
Second.
Do we want weather-related approval? What sort of turnaround time do we, like, if they call on Monday, January 2nd or whatever, and say, we want to start the day after tomorrow, or we want to start next week, do we want to get an idea what the weather's going to be like? Or-
I don't think we need to decide that. I think we can.
Well, I'm talking about whether we approve it.
No, but what I'm saying is, I think Annie, because I don't see how we could really put it into anything, positive, because it is so weather-related, and so but I think we can trust that Annie will have to make that decision. I think she's capable of going to look at it and seeing, there's a half inch of rain, maybe that's not that big of a deal, or there's a 2-inch rainfall. Like, this weekend, they're predicting another crazy
There's
rainstorm.
a big storm coming up.
On Monday,
really?
so,
Yeah.
I think she would have to deal with that, and if
Well,
she
I
has
mean,
to,
It's in
call us.
their interest to choose the dry, I mean, they're gonna be wanting the dry.
Yes,
I just think that when they pull the trigger, that's when the 2-week timer starts.
well,
I mean, but they're gonna be wanting to do it when it's dry anyway. So I don't even know that we need to stipulate that, right?
Well, we want to make sure that we're making the final decision. And when they want to do something, I mean, it's like the 4 Federal Way. They wanted to put
I
those.
know, but this is, we already, yeah. It's next to,
I think it comes down, it's gonna be a common sense thing. I think
Yeah.
Andy can make a decision whether it has been raining, 5 days straight, or it's going to rain 5 days straight.
Okay, all right.
I think,
it can be a nice collaborative decision.
again, goes back to, I don't think that there are conditions that they'll wanna be in
Correct.
there with machinery and.
Right.
Right, if you want
That's
to,
why
if you want to
he's
leave your backhoe there for 4 months, then that might be a good way to do it.
I am fully aware that I need to move the backhoe out of that area. There's no overnight
what I
storage
meant
of the
was-
ba- Okay.
What I meant was, if
I
you
didn't
were
wanna get tricked.
if you were unable to get your backhoe out of there. But you're right, you can't leave it there overnight. All right, so motion, second, little bit of
Yeah.
discussion.
Aye.
yeah, all right, so all in favor of the, and so just an added thing is, that's at the normal waiver fee for daily construction.
Or,
and, yeah, for up to 2 weeks, so you could, if it only ends up being 10 days, just report.
or 6
that.
days, or whatever.
Okay.
We just, what we tried to do is give you enough so that you don't run into the end of it and then have to wait a month and come back for more.
Gotcha.
So
Yep.
it's not a case of, you gotta prepay, you don't show up at the hotel, you pay for the hotel anyway. You make a reservation, if you only stay there 3 days, you can cancel the rest for free.
There's no early checkout penalties?
There's no early checkout penalties, that's correct. If you use points,
I don't think I have any points.
nobody has any points.
Just so that I am clear, what is the daily fee?
$200 a day.
Yeah, I think so,
It's $200 a
The
day.
200 or 400?
For a single, it's a single family,
But are we we're talking,
It's residential.
No, I think it's a
It's
single
residential, so
family.
and it's the
200.
same for building and for,
yes. I think
Okay.
it's just a seasonal waiver, $200 a day for a single family,
beautiful,
is my understanding.
beautiful.
Yes.
But Annie would have to correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, she had that nice chart for us, and we don't have it right now.
Yes, all
Okay.
right, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain, 5-0 passes.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck in your quest.
Thank you. I'm hoping when I
Glad
get
that
home,
you
my kids are in
didn't
bed.
have to come and get us to talk about a different culvert.
Oh.
Because then we would have had to say, oh, is this a modification to the project big enough that he has to come back and refile the notice of intent?
Boy, yeah.
Well, it
So,
sounds like
Jay,
you
you're
dodged
lucky.
that bullet.
Yeah.
Tell Shay, give Shay a big thank you.
I don't know how you break a cast. I still don't know exactly what the problem was, but
Huh,
maybe I'll find out.
they're trying to loosen it with a sledgehammer.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so that ends our hearings and public meeting. So let me whip through the rest of this stuff here.
Do we have to close the hearing portion? I don't think we ever
No, we
actually
didn't.
opened it.
We're
Okay.
treating them individually now. And the only hearing was the first one. These were just public meetings.
Got
Okay.
it.
Number 5, the community preservation project at Lucio's Cottage. We had a meeting last month with the architect and all the other departments so that the architect could talk about the project, the building inspector, et cetera. And so the architect was tasked with making some changes to what need to be done. But a couple of things came up in that the fire chief believes that with the current plans, it needs sprinklers. And if it needs sprinklers, it's probably gonna need a new water line coming up from Washington Street to feed VZ Park, because the current water line is fairly old and not adequate. So that was probably gonna add another, $200,000 or $300,000 to the project. So I don't know where it's going. Rebecca and I also met with Alex, the art consultant that's working on the project. So he's putting the whole thing together and will come and give us a presentation on this so we can decide what we want to do. Do we want to continue? Do we want to drop it? Et cetera, et cetera. So either January or February meeting, we'll have them come and talk to us about that. The other last year's CPA project was the reforestation project at the top of the hill. That's ongoing quite well. The site has been prepared. It's pretty much all ready for planting in the spring. Plants have been ordered, so everything's on track with that one, so that looks good.
I hope they're gonna take my oak trees.
I told her all about your
60
acorns. Oh,
or-
yeah, the oak trees too, yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
You gotta keep them alive until.
I will. I'm tucking them in for the winter. I am gonna mow them next year.
Yeah, Roger.
In our packet, we have a report on 104 King Street restoration update, which they're required to send us, which is basically a copy of what they submitted to the Mass DEP, outlining what they've done. And
Those pictures aren't lying. It looks really nice.
yeah, I think, that they've.
Well, they're black and white, so it's kind of hard to,
Mass DEP did a good job of telling them what to do, and they followed it, so that's good.
It was pretty well established when we
Yeah,
wrote that.
yeah,
So it's all filling in now.
right. The next thing is the Pawtucket Regional School District. It's more for informational purposes.
Yeah, that's an interesting little thing. I think we should name this stream.
So the contractor's currently doing final touches and installing wetland markers. And I don't believe they're doing any more work in Groveland. So as I say, this is kind of an informational report provided to West Newbury.
Notice of non-compliance.
So it looks like the only part that's actually in Groveland is when it overflows the stream banks.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, it's nice that they're paying attention, you know? Natural heritage, I mean.
yes.
It's good.
And
Good for them.
number 9 is just a update of the activities going on at VZ Park, lots of items going on there. With the holiday coming up in January, Winter Festival.
How was the craft fair thing?
Oh, I don't know, I didn't go, but I guess it was pretty good.
It was so packed. We went to go look at the garden randomly because we were driving past, and you couldn't even get in the driveway. It was so packed.
Wow,
Really?
Yeah.
glad I didn't go.
Yeah.
No, I was going to, but it just didn't happen. Move to approve the July 12th, 2023 meetings,
Second.
meeting minutes.
Any changes or accepting them as they are?
They're very detailed.
Yes. I-
Nothing jumps out. There's a lot of conversation here.
Yeah, I know.
Page 2, 4, page 3,
I like how
4.
I like minus Grimm.
Yes. A lot of people like minus Grimm. It's become a thing. So it's been motioned and seconded?
Yes, all in favor of approving the July 12th, 2023 meeting minutes, say aye.
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 Brett abstaining?
I think I was there for that one.
Yeah, he was probably connected remotely.
Oh, yeah.
It says commissioners absent, but you could have been,
I was on the horn.
there ought to be a way to note that, because absent,
Until August, and then I wasn't getting the Zoom set up.
yeah. Well, actually, that might be my, my recommendation, that instead of commissioners absent, it show up as commissioners remote.
Yeah,
Does that
right.
make sense?
Yeah,
I thought she'd
You can still
previously
vote.
done
Right, right. You're participating, you were listening, you were voting, you were doing everything except being here.
okay, so we'll make that change to the minutes. Okay, conservation agent update, I don't think there's any, pretty much
Why don't we wait till next month for
what
that?
I've been saying, yes. No, she provided a lot of information
Oh.
in the first 2 pages.
Read on your own time.
Couple of things for open discussion. First one is, we had a site visit at 444, somewhere around there, Main Street at Mr. Eric Harper's 6-acre property. And I believe the commissioners who saw it thought that we were happy with the plantings there, blueberry bushes, trees.
Who all went to, I mean, I went on Saturday.
Yeah, just,
Did
I
you-
completely forgot.
Did, I think, because in my, I found the
yeah,
directive, whatever you wanna call it.
Map?
Yes, whatever, seed map, plant map. Requesting certain seeding of some of the open areas to prevent, you know, the invasives from moving in, like there's the knotweed a couple hundred yards away. And then I'm wondering if he also substituted the scrub oak with red oak. I don't know, if we're okay with that.
I'm okay with the substitution of red oak for scrub oak, if that's what he did.
Yeah, I just don't know if they arbitrarily decided or if that's, Like, was this a suggestion or was this a directive?
Well, I think it was a somewhat of a suggestion,
Okay.
and it probably had to do with availability of the,
Plans that you can buy.
yeah.
And, I mean, are we gonna follow up on whether or not he's going to seed the rest of it, or did seed, or with the suggested
Well,
yarrow and other
what
very
I-
common species?
what I will do is put a letter together saying that we are approved of what's there, and just say, in the spring, please seed it as we originally asked.
And did you think that was an adequate number of blueberries that were there based on what we
Yeah,
requested?
I mean,
Okay.
It's gonna be enough for us.
Well, again, like I said, the trees.
We
were
shouldn't talk
in
about it
front.
when we're on film.
The trees are in
Alright.
front, they will be shielded from the path if that gets connected.
so what should he seed it with?
Well, according to what I requested, little blue stem, black-eyed Susan, yarrow, and common milkweed. Those were the only 4 species that I specified. And the black-eyed Susan, I specifically wrote a particular to the area needed.
Okay.
There you go.
Yes. All right, and let's see. I will be presenting to the selectmen on Monday night a potential open space purchase using CPA funds for 2024. And I will put this on the agenda for January to give you more details on it.
When are you presenting?
Open space purchase.
No, when?
Oh, when, on Monday night,
This coming?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
So you'll tell us about it afterwards?
Yes. I don't want to go into it too much
Okay,
right
In
now.
advance.
okay.
Noted.
Any,
Has, Eric hasn't donated that land yet, has he?
no,
This is still part of the process
Yeah, right,
prior to,
right.
okay.
and I believe that the Groveland Electric wants to take it.
Right,
But they want to wait until everything's all set. So I
Sure,
don't
sure,
think they're
sure.
really going to be taking it till after annual town meeting, because it's going to require annual town meeting vote to accept it. Only we can accept land without an annual town meeting vote. The town cannot.
but then don't the selectmen also have to accept it?
Yeah,
And then the state legislature has to accept it?
no,
No? I thought
Just
they
the-
did.
just the selectmen and then annual town meeting.
Huh.
Not for a conservation restriction, this is just.
Oh, for a restriction, okay.
Yeah, this is just to accept a land donation.
Got it.
Just like with us, when we accept a land donation, we don't have to have annual town meeting approval, but we do have to get approval from the selectmen. I'm not sure I understand why, but,
Groveland Electric?
yeah. Because it adjoins their property that they already own over there, so they're interested in having some extra space to store things, but they won't be using the 200-foot buffer zone to do anything.
Where we just had the
Yeah,
restoration.
where we just restored.
Yeah. That would not be good.
Right.
All right, what else you got,
Any
Mike?
other open discussion items?
Have you noticed the state of Perry Park recently?
The state of Perry Park.
In that the town has cut down several ash trees, all the knotweed that's down sort of in that wet area that's bordering those few houses that are down there.
All the knotweed that hasn't been dealt with?
Correct.
Yeah,
Yes,
I mean,
and
that starts right at the,
It does, because there's a seed
and it goes
that
all the way down
it's
to,
wet, yes.
yeah.
And then, there have been some tire tracks in there. There is a picnic bench that's recently been destroyed by, I'm assuming, a teenage child of some sort. Another concrete or a stone bench that's been toppled over by same person, I'm guessing. I'm just wondering, I was wondering about,
Who maintains?
well, or potentially, and I don't know how to go about the grant type thing for possibly restoring some trees, plantings, bench. So instead of looking like just a patch of grass with a bunch of rundown park stuff, like could
Trouble with
we?
the knotweed is, I think a lot of that's on private property.
Correct, but I was considering, and I did reach out to one person anyway, considering, you know, finding out how we can maybe make that into an example of some native restoration. Similar to what Diane, I guess, is doing up at VZ, but also including the park benches and stuff like that. I don't,
Well, the
Would-
park
is it-
benches, I've never actually seen anybody sit.
I have.
Have you?
I've
Okay.
sat down
All right,
there
all right, all right. I'm
with
not
the
saying it's
dog.
never happened. I'm just saying I've never seen it.
Clearly the
And,
teenagers
and the
enjoy it.
knotweed, it would be nice to have a knotweed eradication demonstration.
I concur,
And that's a real visible one,
yes.
because it starts right by where
And
the,
it's
where the-
contained.
yeah, well, relatively.
I mean, it doesn't include, but you know.
It goes for a good 100 yards.
I know,
Yeah.
but it's a contained spot that you could easily demonstrate how to. And so I did reach out to a native landscaper out of Beverly, just to see if she'd be interested in at least talking about it. But I guess there's like we only have like 2 weeks to pursue like CPA funding for it. So I guess I wanted to talk to you about whether or not it's worth taking this on as a project, as like, you know, should I can.
Like a
talk-
restoration, just basically, an overall restoration
Yes, but
project.
not as big of a project as, say, whatever we're calling the top of Easy Park with the Miyawagi Forest and all that
Right,
stuff.
right, right. Well, and it's not like a $500,000 skateboard park.
Exactly. It's just like to get somebody's input into how can we tackle this
Well, it'd also be
knotweed.
nice to really get a handle on what it costs to make something like knotweed disappear.
Right.
Because
So
that's not trivial.
should I pursue this and then potentially pursue CPA?
I'm not gonna tell you no.
But is that too big? Is that getting in too deep or big or?
No,
And I don't know what, is there a limit to the CPA funds? Should I
No.
start small? Should I say, hey, can I have $5,000? Like, I
No.
don't know how this works.
no.
You need more than that. I mean, if you got people driving around in there, first off, you're gonna need some like granite pillar fencing just to keep people out, with like a walkway going through, so.
Well,
Are you not talking about where the highway department put in all that riprap and stuff?
Well, south of
because-
there, but I'm thinking like that, like, I have to walk on that because that seep ices over down,
It
coming down from
does,
that one
it
house,
does.
which is
That road
pretty
does not
scary.
drain properly.
No. Well, it seeps. It's not that the road doesn't drain. There's a seep coming down from that house.
Well,
Every-
from 2 or 3, that whole hill is
A seep.
leaky, yeah.
But, I mean, like, we could have, like, it could be just a small showcase of natives and Japanese knotweed control is what I'm thinking, with some beautiful benches and restoring some of the ashes, because they cut down a whole bunch of ash trees over there.
Restoring meaning like putting some other kind of
Different,
tree in
yes,
that's not
exactly.
gonna
That's what I
die?
mean. Correct.
Okay, yeah, I like that plan.
But I
Restoring,
wanted to talk to a professional landscaper who does all of these things
yeah.
and get some input first.
And you got somebody in Beverly?
That house and then.
Maybe?
Yes,
the
I
garden,
reached out to
all the way
her.
down
She,
behind all the
actually,
other houses.
Oh,
I think she's
really?
based out of Beverly, but she's called
Because all the houses that are on Main
Salem
Street,
something.
Yeah, they
property
back up.
behind it where that knotweed is
Yeah.
actually owned by a house on Elm Park.
Oh,
And there's like a secret garden type that rolls right down alongside Perry Park.
huh.
We're referring to the knotweed in that.
Yeah.
There was a garden there, but I believe, she passed on, and they haven't done anything with that in eons.
Wow. So,
Budget for, they just.
it's,
I don't know, right. I don't know how that, I want to ask her if she would be, what I put in my email to her was, would you be willing to take a look and advise me on if this is a doable project and blah, 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 you know?
Well, I mean, just ask for an estimate.
Yes.
I mean, You know, that's how business gets done.
Okay.
A certain percentage of the time, you don't get the business, even if you put in a great proposal and your pricing is great. You know, customer doesn't have the budget, something else is more important, you know. So people are used to not getting everything that they propose.
Okay,
And she probably has some sort of boilerplate for a lot of that stuff.
yeah.
I'm surprised you have to go all the way to Beverly to find somebody. There seems to
Well,
be
she
zillion-
just, somebody shared her information with me and I was like, and then I looked at
So it's not like a
her
good match?
website and I was like, oh, this is exactly what I want.
Okay,
So-
well, if it's,
so
I say go for it.
I'll at least get some information from her and see if there's other.
So,
Don't use Conservation Commission letterhead when you,
Who's raining on my parade? No, I mean, I told her
No,
I
I'm
was
just
on the
suggesting that
Conservation
you-
Commission, but I mean, if I.
no,
pre-
that's perfectly fine. You
If I
just can't
present
represent.
it as a CPA request
yeah,
and
well,
it's for a park,
But you'll need a lot
isn't that
of-
Conservation Commission?
Yeah.
no, not necessarily, but,
I mean, this is why I'm looking for you, to you guys for like, can we work on this sort of together and I will maybe do the,
The
Like
front
work?
end, yeah.
so the question is would the commission be willing to sponsor the project, even though this is not a place that we have any jurisdiction over?
well, it is wet down there. I don't know if it's considered wetland.
I don't think it's wetlands. There was,
And it is a park. Is that town and not conservation?
that's town.
Yeah.
Okay, got it, noted. Okay.
No, but
That got donated a ton of time ago.
that doesn't mean, you know, this would come under open space.
Okay.
And Conservation Commission are the primary open space advocates, you know, so for us to put forth a proposal for the park, that would make sense.
Okay,
But I would suggest get as much information as you can. It's probably too late unless you feel like going crazy to.
in 2 weeks to get it done?
Yes, right.
That's what I was
Be
wondering.
surprised if you even get somebody in 2 weeks. Get her
Yeah,
to come
I
up
mean, I haven't
here.
heard back from her, so
Yeah,
that could be
well,
the
there's-
answer.
There's a pocket veto.
But I would say, the whole thing, put all your ideas out there and, you know, go for one big project, you know?
But Stephanie's point is she doesn't know if this is 10,000 or 100,000 or
right.
5,000.
And it's currently now, if I'm looking at December 13th, too late to get CPA funding for this year and too late to put it before town meeting for this year.
You know,
Too late for town meeting?
Well, if I want CPA funds for this year,
no, you just have to have a proposal into the Community Preservation Committee by the end of this month.
which is 2 weeks from now.
Yeah,
All right,
so it's probably too late, like I say, unless you want to go nuts.
I mean, I'll do some reaching out.
But if you started gathering the stuff, we think it's a good idea and then present it for next year.
Okay,
Nobody here is in favor of vandalism or knotweed.
okay,
Yeah, right.
I think I
Okay.
speak on behalf of the entire commission.
okay, cool.
No, I mean, I think it's a good idea.
Okay.
See, Perry Park, it's like this no man's land,
It
like
really
nobody
is.
wants to really be in charge of it or anything, you know? It's a shame.
I'm taking it on. What?
He said it's kind of like Dead Hill.
Yeah, right.
Move to adjourn.
So, our next meeting is scheduled for January 10th. I will not be here, but I will participate via Zoom.
Thank God.
But that means that our vice chair will have to run the meeting, because I can't run it remotely.
Well, is there any reason not to do it on the 17th?
I won't be
Except for
here
the fact
then
that I won't
either.
be here? That's actually a good reason.
I'm not coming back till the 22nd.
Okay.
So Stephanie, I think you can do it.
All right,
She runs a tight ship.
Annie will be here,
thank God.
so,
I can
You
do
know.
this.
You'll
Annie.
be available on Zoom for questions.
yes.
Last week, you
Yeah,
get a huge
I'll
torrential
zoom in.
downpour.
to that. Move
Okay.
to adjourn.
Okay,
You guys are gonna be here on
Somebody
January
second?
10th though, right?
Somebody second this.
Second.
Second.
Fred already seconded.
Okay,
Oh,
good.
good.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All in favor, say aye.